What is the one and only one lead gen lever that let's call it your superpower, that you're willing to commit to consistently over time? What's up, guys? DJ Corals,
Bob Safaya, and we've seen agents become successful in many different ways, but there's never been a more important time to focus on just one lever, one source.
Whether that's picking up the phone and calling for sell by owners or expireds.
Attending networking events, hosting client parties.
Whether it's holding open houses for your listing or someone else's listings.
Or knocking on doors.
That's a good one. There's never been a more important time.
I mean, the one thing that's going to get you through the challenges in this market today is becoming an expert at one thing.
That's what we're going to be talking about in this video. So it's like, the analogy that I think about really is if sports, right? If Steph Curry changed his jump shot every time he shot his jump shot, or if a golfer changed his swing every time. My golf buddy even told me that when I was first learning how to play golf. He said, man, you don't know what a good swing feels like. He said, because you change your swing every single time. He said, if you keep trying to change your swing every single time and you're not giving what's working enough time to actually work, you'll never have a good swing.
I thought you were going to talk about an analogy that I told you before, because it's really close to that. Because where I grew up, there was a golf tournament every year, the Buick Open in Grand Blanc, Michigan. In years I worked out there, but every year I was out there for probably 10 years, like watching professional golfers play. One of the things I noticed about them is that they never blame themselves for a bad shot. So, we talk about pointing thumbs, not fingers. But it goes along with what you said, because they're always trying to blame somebody for talking or for, if you watch them, when they make a bad shot, they look at their club, or they look at the ground, or they always look at something besides themselves.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that goes along with what you're saying. Like, when you're a professional, and if you were getting paid for your golf swing, you gotta protect that. Right?
You gotta protect it. A professional knows what their most important, like we heard it recently, what's your superpower?
What is your superpower?
What is your superpower? And in times like we're speaking in the real estate industry specifically, in times like this, I don't know if since I've been in the game, it's never been a more important time to actually know your superpower. Right. What I mean by that is like, what is your main area of focus?
Yeah.
Where are you focused on? Are you focused on? Everything goes into marketing, right? But where do you get your what's your main source of lead generation? What's your main source of business? Is it your network? Because if it's your network, now it's the time to double down on your network. If you're somebody that picks up the phone, now's the time to double down on picking up the phone and calling for sell by owners and expireds. If you're somebody that door knocks, it's cold outside in Kentucky right now, but now's the time to double down on your door knocking. It's being really, really crystal clear on what your superpower is at this moment.
Because with less deals to be had, less transactions to be had, that means you got to put in more work to get the same amount as what you had before. Like, it takes more work, not less work. And I think we've talked about it. I was freaked out for a minute, right?
Yeah.
Then this light bulb went off. It was like this big weight came off my shoulders, because we started looking at week over week what was happening with the market. Now we're seeing a pretty consistent, even as the last interest rate happened, there was consistently around 400 properties going pending every week, and last week was the same.
Entire MLS, right?
In the entire MLS. So
Central Kentucky MLS.
And we're talking about ones that went pending and contingent pending. It was in the low 400s. Well, if that's not changing, if that number's staying consistent, like if that number went to 2, now we're talking. Now we've got something to worry about, right? But it's never going to go to that.
Yeah.
It's never going to go to that. It's just what percentage of the business that's going on right now is going to work with us.
Yeah, can you get in between? Because there's unfortunately sometimes but there's always people that have to buy and sell real estate.
Oh.
You always need a place to live. And if you get a promotion in your job, that's a good one. That's a good reason to have to find a new place to live.
Yeah.
If you're moving because of, there's good things and then there's bad things that happen too. Like
there's always going to be a more ideal to
job.
do something, like a more ideal time to plant a tree.
Yeah.
There's always a more ideal time, but it already happened.
Yeah.
That more ideal time, the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago or today.
Yeah.
Right? But waiting to find the best day to plant a tree on it's not good.
Yeah, and I think
It gets worse and worse every day you wait.
I think it also really goes into what you focus on too.
Yeah.
What you focus on, because in every situation, heck, when everybody was buying homes, I could tell you multiple reasons at that time why you could argue not to buy a home at that time. And when people aren't buying homes, I can argue and give you reasons that are good to buy a home at the time. So it's really like what you focus on. Are you focusing on the opportunities or do you focus on the challenges?
Because there's tons of opportunities
all the time.
And what was it? I saw a statistic the other day. What was it? How many agents were going to be getting out of business? It was a big number.
Oh man, it was hundreds of thousands.
That aren't going to renew their license next year or this year. Maybe it was next year.
Said mentally they've already
checked out, but that happens already. The past couple years, we haven't seen that. We talked about that today, the seasonal shift, right?
Yeah.
We haven't seen the seasonal shift the past couple years through COVID.
Yeah.
It kind of went away. The wintertime, the houses were selling just as fast.
It was crazy.
And it was crazy. And this year's probably the first year since 2019 that we're actually seeing a dip based on, we always talk about it when we're prospecting, it's the first dip is when people are like, well, let's wait till after the holidays. What's after the holidays? After New Year's Day, right?
Yeah.
So we call them back New Year's Day or the day after, let's wait till spring. There's those two little gaps that, there are statistics that show there's an advantage to sell at those times too.
Yeah.
But most people, that's the objections that they throw out. And we're seeing those again. But now it's the interest rates, well, we're going to wait because of the interest rates, right?
Yeah.
There's always going to be something, but there's always going to be people buying and selling. Yeah. And that's why, getting back to the superpower thing, if that's the one thing we talk about today,
yes,
that was a really cool video, because I would say the biggest, if you asked me what my biggest challenge, leading a team has been over the past 8 years, it's keeping people on task of the things that work. Because there's always something. There's always something.
It's funny too, because you get in the business, we're entrepreneurs. Everybody that gets in the business, a lot of people have that entrepreneurial mindset, and the entrepreneurial mindset oftentimes is just doing new things. Just doing new things and not staying inside of the box, because you get tired. It's the same. I heard once from our coach back in the day. He said you need to do the same thing so much, get so routine at it at certain things. He's not talking about everything in life. Don't take it out of context. But he's talking about specifically. We were talking about lead generation. Then to give more context to it, we were talking about lead generation. He said you need to do it so much until it becomes boring. Until you are until you've mastered it to the point that you cannot spend. You're going to continue to do it all the time. It was really, now that I say it out loud, it's maybe not until it's boring, but I get what he's saying.
Mastery is boring.
It's getting to mastery.
Is boring.
Getting to mastery. It's shooting the same free throw 100,000 times.
The same golf shot.
The same golf swing 100,000 times.
And then for us, now we're beyond the point of us being the person that's in that day-to-day place of lead gen. Yes, we do generate leads,
yes,
but not the same way someone new is going to generate leads,
correct,
right?
Yeah.
And not the way that we're going to be able to teach someone, what they need to do to stay consistent. But that place is it's a challenge to stay there.
It is, very much so.
Even though you know is what, people move away from pain more than they move towards pleasure. So I say to you, I mean, whatever you want's on the other side of this boring, uncomfortable place. But the thing that I see is like, there's very few people that ever actually stay in that place.
Yeah.
Even the best of the best.
Even the best of the
like,
best.
I'll point thumbs.
Yeah.
Like, I've been in that place, but I've never stayed in that place, right? And then we're trying to influence people to stay in that place to be able to see what's on the other side.
Yeah.
Right? Man, that's the biggest challenge. That's the biggest challenge because, okay, so if that's not working, how do you know it's not working if you haven't stayed in the place?
Yes. If you haven't done it long enough to give it time to work.
If you haven't done it long enough, we'll always find the reason why it doesn't work, but if you haven't...
Now, you can relate it to going to the gym, you know? You relate it to going to the gym. If you go to the gym for 4 weeks, you might see a little bit of a difference, right? If you go to the gym for 4 weeks, you might see a little bit of a difference, but not enough. And if you stopped at that 4 week point, it could be at 6 weeks where you really can start to see the difference in yourself. Like, wow, like I can really start to see my body starting to change. But if you give up a little bit too soon, you haven't given it enough time to actually work.
I think Darren Hardy says the best, and the thing that I think about every time I eat something is what he says about hamburgers. If you knew every time you took a bite out of a hamburger, you were going to be a fat ass, would you take the bite out of a hamburger?
That's
It's
the
the
book that he's talking
consistency.
about is the compound effect.
The compound effect, like it's
Compound
just
effect.
staying in that place. Like if you knew that little bite was going to make you a fat ass, would you eat it? No. But then, where do you stop? Or
like
where do you start? Where do you keep going? Where do you go? Where's that line?
It's like doubling. It's like the double. Would you rather have $5 million right now or double a penny for 30 days?
Right.
You know, I don't remember exactly what doubling a penny every single day for 30 days adds up to, but it was a heck of a lot of money because it goes off of the compound effect.
But if we look at lead generation in the compound effect, we've seen the payoff from lead generation that's happened 10 years ago. We've seen, because we've kept track of the people that we've put into the database over the past 8 to 10 years.
I think that's really important what you just said too. It's lead generation is, when we talk about finding your superpower, lead generation is you finding your superpower. The most important, the end outcome is the end outcome. And it's adding people to your database.
Adding people to the database.
It's adding people to the database. The lead generation is the method to getting to adding people to the database. Whether you're going to events, whether you're picking up the phone calling people, whether you're door knocking, sending out mailers, whatever your open house is, it's all about adding people to the database.
Those levers, those are all just levers. Those are all just levers that make it so that you can add people to the database and then nurture those people to the point that they're ready, because not everybody's ready. And right now we're seeing that. Right now it's like that times, that's the multiplier, right? Is that all these people that have stepped back and said, I'm going to wait and check things out. Well, in the past we saw that in the wintertime. It happened every year.
Yeah.
We knew it was going to happen. There were some people we could get past that. Most people we couldn't, right? But now, are we going to have, I call it a trick, but is it going to be some meme that we got from a real estate group that says, oh, well, if you do this, your payment's going to be this, and you do this, your payments. Nobody looks at that.
Yeah, because you're going against what the public opinion.
What their feelings
Think about
are.
the 95-5 principle. It's probably more 97-3.
Right.
Like 97% of people are not looking to buy or sell a home right now.
They're not going to, no matter what you say to them.
Only 3% are.
Right.
So if you're marketing or talking to that 97%.
With 3%.
In the same mindset or in the same language patterns that you are the people that are in the 3%, you're missing out on 97% of people,
right?
Because they're just not in the position to do that.
So man, I love this conversation. This is like right up my alley. This is like what I like to talk about. And sometimes, I don't know. I mean, I'm just gonna be square. Him and I, we don't see eye to eye on this conversation a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of times we disagree, and it's probably like our biggest disagreements.
It's a healthy disagreement.
It's healthy. It's healthy.
It's perspective too. It's perspective.
Yeah, it was just interesting, that mastermind we did yesterday, and the majority of the people that came out, we've been doing these masterminds, have been so good.
Yeah, I agree. They have.
And comments we've been getting from them, I mean, it fills my heart.
Yeah.
Because we live in a place where we contribute daily, every single day. like we're living by this feeling of contribution, and what people might see from the outside is something different.
Yeah.
They may see intensity or what's some other words you've used to describe me or my image?
I think that some could be censored, have to be censored for.
Because I don't think I really spent a lot of time thinking about everyone else. Like I think about our team and I think about our people and I never really thought that was affecting us in a negative way. And I see how it has been in the past, not being open to the contribution to the industry. My contribution, I felt, needed to be so focused on our team and on my family and on my life that I didn't realize, like, even though, living by like that, you give to receive, right? Living by that, I could live by that every day, but I was thinking too small. I was thinking too small. It's got to be to the world. The gift has to be to the world and not just to my people.
When you talk about the whole, when we use we say it all the time, when the part gives back to the whole, when the whole is bigger than the part and the part gives back to the whole, then the part gets back tenfold. Yeah. And when you talk about the whole is the world.
Yeah.
The whole is the whole.
The whole, it's like
world, the entire industry.
Right. You can spend your time in you being the whole, right? Like me, my family, and me, because my family is bigger than just me, right? And then you say, like my partners, my people, those are my world. That's bigger than just me, right? But then by not making it, the industry or market that's been really cool to see through those masterminds. Yeah, just get that return. Like it's like I talked to an agent that was at one, and she said, "This is really cool." She said that it seems like you guys. She's probably talking about you, because you're awesome in those masterminds, but she said, you guys seem like you're giving way more than you're getting. I mean, how many people have said that to her? Nobody's ever said it to me before. I know how special it made me feel. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, to think that we did something that gathered that type of response, I mean, who else gets that? Yeah. That's the part giving back. I mean, tenfold, because that was tenfold to me. That was amazing. Yeah. It's like when you putting enough people in the right, it's like getting outside of, really living in an abundant mindset. Because living in an abundant mindset, like the way that I look at it, man, there's enough opportunities out here for everything, everyone and everything. Just because just because you reach a certain level of success doesn't mean that it puts a cap on another person's level of success. There's enough success. Success has no limit, right? And abundance there's no, you got to live in that abundance mindset all the time. But pour out. I got so much clarity yesterday at the mastermind we did. Like, I got so much clarity from it. It was like this light bulb went off. It was like, the light bulb that went off was that it's more about adding people to our space than it is about closing it, because the deals happen. The deals are going to happen. The deals are going to happen. The deals are happening. The deals have been increasing for us. I mean, I would say that's been another challenge that we've had, is just like looking at ourselves. Like, you look at social media, you look at other people. I mean, we always know the comparison is the thief of joy, but when you're comparing against market stats, when you're comparing against the market, that's the place where growth is happening. Right? The Gap versus the Game. Yeah. It's a great book if you haven't read it, by the way, The Gap versus the Game, because what he talks about is comparing yourself. A lot of times you compare yourself to an ideal. And you don't even know. Because you have the gap and you have the game. When you're comparing yourself to where you actually started and you're here, that's progress. Right. And when you compare yourself against this ideal, you're seeking a moving target that you're probably never going to hit. Because once you get to this point, there's always going to be another target that you're seeking. So it's like when you compare yourself to the market or other people, when you compare yourself to other people, you don't really know the ins and outs. You could compare yourself to someone, and especially if you're using social media as the tool that you're comparing them against, because nobody ever puts their bad stuff on social media. It's all glitz and glamour and sunshines and vacations on social media. Yeah. And another example would be like with real estate is like comparing people's sales. Because when you don't look at people's expenses, I mean, in any business it's that way, right?
Yeah.
Like you can always say like someone could sell $20 billion worth of something, but if they paid $19.5 billion or whatever it was, like it's like you got to know the whole picture and you got to know what you're pacing on.
Oh my goodness! Somebody could have it all on social media and behind the scenes. Like we've seen it before. You know, you see it every day on with people that have reached a certain level of success, and unfortunately, they either take their own life or they have a big scandal that happens because you're like, oh, this person has it all together. They have everything, and then the next thing you know, poof, their whole world blows up. And so this is the person that you've been comparing yourself to.
So that being said, I think like what we originally started talking about was superpowers and how important they are right now where we're at, and just staying in the box.
Staying in the box. One foot in front of the other every single day.
What are you comparing yourself to? Are you comparing yourself to the percentage, like in real estate? Are you comparing the amount of listings you're putting on the market in comparison the percentage of listings that are hitting the market?
Comparing yourself to who you were. Like, did I get better? Am I getting better every single day? Because it's not all, the results right now, everybody, can't say everyone. A lot of people, their results may seem like they're down, but in fact, they're gaining market share.
Right.
They're gaining market share. They're getting better. They're improving their fitness. They're improving their mental health. They're improving their person. They're getting better every single day. So comparing yourself to you, that one Michael Jordan quote that it's a phenomenal quote. I think he got it from Dr. J, where it's like comparing yourself to who you were yesterday. It's a quote, you gotta look it up. It's a Michael Jordan quote. It's famous for Michael Jordan, but he got it from somewhere else too.
I know the other part about staying in the box or the superpower, and it's like something we already know, but it's like, I think I said it this morning, like it like hit me. Because my Uncle Bob, he like would always say, because I've always been chasing.
Bob and Bob.
Yeah, Bob Denham. Anyway, what he would always say, because I've always been chasing, man. I've been going after it since I was a kid. Like after it, like, I would say that's created a lot of failure in my life because there's a lot of things I never caught, right? Like I went after it and I just never caught up. But like, I think that's a really big one for agents right now, and agents that are struggling is why you need to find your superpower and why you need to figure out what your focus is. It's like what he said. He said if you chase too many rabbits, you'll never catch one.
You'll never catch one.
You'll never catch one. And the other piece, let me finish the one other piece is that, like, when you hear somebody say that their struggle is confidence, well, I feel like a lot of that comes from chasing too many things. Like, how I judge success is whether or not I achieve my goal. If my goal is to generate, to do more sales, well, that's not really something that you can measure it by the amount of sales, but how do you get those sales? Like, and what are you? It's staying focused on what are you great at.
It makes me think about an agent that we work with, and he's a true professional. He's one of the best that I've ever worked with, and he's not just at real estate. He's a true professional in the way that he communicates and just in sales in general, but the way that he carries himself and the way that he communicates. And over the past 2 years, I mean, man, we could, not literally, but we could count on two hands maybe 2 hands and 2 feet, how many houses have actually expired, right? And this entire time, 2019, he sold 39 expired listings by himself. In the past 39 by himself. Hold on, just a second. 39 expired listings by himself 3 years ago. And over the past 2 years, he stayed inside of his box. He stayed inside of it. That's his area of expertise, and he didn't switch up. He's been calling expires consistently for the past 3 years. Even when there weren't any to call, he was still calling the few that were out there. And now that there are more expires that are starting to hit the market, he's on a launching pad like no other.
6 months from now, it's gonna be
That's staying inside the box.
Deal. They're going to be a big deal in 6 months.
That's staying inside the box. Finding your area of expertise. What's your main area of focus and staying inside the box on it, mastering it.
I think from him staying in the box, and that like adds to the point is that like from that he's gained the skills to like all these other parts of the business become easier for him because he's so skilled at he got so skilled at what it takes to help someone that's been failed by another agent.
Yeah.
He got so skilled at that like if a lead comes from somewhere else or if it's a referral or if it's anything else, like he got so skilled at helping the people that have been failed that it made him better at everything else.
It overflows into your confidence.
It overflows into everything else because he got so good at the one thing.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah.
That's really good. I love that point.
Yeah.
So,
find your superpower.
Yeah.
What's your superpower? What's your one area that you're gonna focus on? If you don't get anything else, and if you made it to this part of the video and you don't get anything else, identify what your superpower is in this business. Identify your superpower, master it.
If you need help identifying it, I mean, this is something that we work on daily.
Yeah.
And we've started breaking down each one of these levers based on the people that we've worked with that have been successful at each lever. So we've been working on breaking those down, and we have them housed in an online learning university that we'd love to share with you for free. So if you need help figuring out which one you want to go after, or you're looking for training on any of those things, I mean, like,
or if you just want to talk or attend a mastermind.
Yeah, the masterminds have been really, really good.
What we do with those masterminds is we put a bunch of smart people, smart agents in the room. We believe that proximity is power, and we facilitate a powerful conversation about whatever the topic is at hand that day.
Yeah, they've been really good.
They've been really good.
I've learned so much. Going back to which she said to me about us giving more than we're getting. I kind of have to disagree because like the time I've spent preparing for them, I've improved what I do. Just preparing, just being prepared to be there. And then also like yesterday when that light bulb just ding, it was just like ding, 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 ding. You know, everybody wants to be confident and everybody wants to be successful.
It's a pattern. Like
everybody wants the same thing. Mm-hmm. Everybody wants that. Everybody wants that confidence. Everybody wants to be successful. They wouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, they have their patterns. We all have similar struggles. Like the struggle may look the same. I mean, the struggle may look different, but at the end of the day, it's the same pattern. It's the same pattern.
Same.
It's really funny when we do those masterminds too. You know, especially at first when it's someone's first time coming to them, especially a top producer. Where we're in an industry where, like, you know, top producers don't really you'll share a little bit, but you don't share all of your tips and tricks and, you know, your ins and outs. And it's really fun when we just start giving it away. Yeah. How they open up and start giving away some of theirs too, because at the end of the day, what's really crazy is that you can give and give, but at the same time, we all do it. I'm very, very guilty of this one. I'll absorb something. That doesn't mean that you're always going to apply it.
Right.
So you can give something away to someone. You can give it away. How much stuff do you just give knowledge away or you give a tool away to someone? Not going to always use it.
No.
You know?
I also have the ego piece of that too, is that I feel like if I do give it away and they do use it, it's going to take them a long time to catch up.
Yeah.
It's going to take them a long time because there's things we've stayed focused on. So that's part of the reason why I'm so open. Yeah. It's because I just feel like some of the stuff that's worked for us, we're like operating in a different playing field.
It's worked for so long.
I mean, do I think that it's possible for people to catch it? Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Is there going to be someone that does? Yes, and I look forward to the day.
Yeah.
I look forward to the day that someone puts a little pressure in some of the areas that we really excel.
Yeah.
Because the areas where we really excel is like where everybody pulls back and says, I don't do that.
It's abundance thinking too, man, because it's really like, man, if someone took off and really like just took off with something that they got from one of those masterminds, it's like, man, not only did their life get changed, but it's going to change the life of all of their their family, their friends, their clients, everyone that they
And
come
ours.
in contact with.
And ours.
Everyone that they come in contact with moving forward, it's going to be a life changer because you'll see them walk around and they'll have a different body language about themselves. They just change.
I was the one that really makes me think is the Google My Business page.
Yeah.
You know, there's a couple of things like we've had conversations with Blair, with Madison, you know, these things that we really excel at, and it's like that's the one thing we're not going to share. But then when you're called upon, when it becomes that moment when it's time to share, it's like hard not to, right? Like it's like this is what we're seeing success from. But that part of it is like that's where I see the biggest gains is because what I share is something that I learn more about. I learn more about it when I share it.
What are you talking about with the Google reviews?
Well, I mean, that we have more than anybody in the state. That's number one. But I mean, that part of it is like, I'll share it with anyone. They're going to have to call me, though.
How would they do that?
Call me.
How do they get your number?
Figure it out. As always, be sure to subscribe to our channel. And we're going to leave a link down in the description. It's the login for our online university, and when you use the code word growth, it's going to log you in. We've got all the lead gen levers separated out. So if you don't know what you want to focus on yet, this might help give you some direction and help you figure out what your superpower is.
And if you want to have a conversation to help identify exactly what it is that you're going to focus on, what you're really good at, reach out to us directly. You can shoot us a message in our inbox, or you can email us at growth@getabovetheline.com.
Thank you for watching.